Texas boxing scene is proud to have two guests here who have an upcoming show in my city, the 817, Funky Town, USA, Fort Worth, Texas. I'm excited for it. We're here with Thurgood Marshall, the promoter, and Kendrick Releford, his matchmaker. Really, really good card on Wednesday, November 8th. First, tell me Thurgood, how you got involved in Fort Worth boxing and how you guys got together and how you got the show together, because it looks really, really good.
Okay, so yeah, I was matchmaking before I became a promoter, and I was doing a lot of matchmaking out here in Texas. I was doing a lot, definitely based around Houston area. But like I said, I mentioned earlier that I fell in love with Fort Worth just when I moved there, the people and just how they treated me. So I always wanted to reach out to people and try to see if I could help them in Fort Worth. And then that's when I ran across Kendrick. And he was making a card actually. And then he asked me if I could help him on matchmaking. And after we talked a little bit, it was like, no question, man. I like hands down anything. I was looking for fights and I was just sending them people. I just wanted to make sure I look out for them. I help them, man.
Kendrick has put on a couple of great shows already in Fort Worth, and he always puts them on in midweek, which I love. Can you talk a little bit about the fights you put on in Fort Worth and the talent that we currently have in Fort Worth right now?
Okay, well, firstly, I'm glad that you actually like the midweek, because, man, I get so many people, why, right? The main reason why, I don't want to be competing with Texas football, for one, and other major league sports. So nothing's going on Wednesday, so we might as well start the weekend on Wednesday.
Let me stop you right there. I know you're a big Texas Ranger fan, so yeah. A big congratulations to you. First time ever Texas Rangers winning the World Series.
Yes, we was at the parade today. This is a lifelong. Hey, man, yeah, we've been waiting on this, so that was good. They
got so close. It was 2011. I mean, you couldn't get any closer.
Yeah,
they finally do it now.
Yes, sir.
Let's get back to the show, because there's a lot of good fights, a lot of good talent. What do you think about the talent right now in Fort Worth?
That's the reason why I've really been wanting to stay consistent as far as promoting, because we actually do have a lot of unmarked talent that nobody's been able to look at. So I mentioned earlier months ago that Golden Boy would host shows here, and there's nobody from Fort Worth. Top ranks are those big promoters will host events here and never have a Fort Worth fighter on. So my thing is, why can't I be that one to expose the talent that we do have? And that's been my lifelong journey.
You're from a fighting family. You're one of those guys. There was a good 20-year span. Starting with King, starting with the Cobra, Paul Ayala, Sergio Reyes on the Olympic team, yourself, where there were a ton of good fighters coming out of Fort Worth. What was it like in Fort Worth at that time, and what was it that produced all of those good fighters in that run?
Consistency. That was the key, man. There was something here in the water that to be the best, you have to beat the best. And we had gym fighters that could actually be champions. So it was, you didn't have a choice but to be able to fight growing up here. So I came up at a great time. I caught the ending of the 80s and I came up through the 90s.
You're still Fort Worth's big man, and we're going to get into heavyweights in a little bit. But when you're talking about heavyweights from Fort Worth, you're still the first name that comes to mind. And you fought everybody. I mean, you ended up with about 22 wins. Just real quick, off topic a little bit. You fought Malik Scott. You fought King Kong Ortiz. I mean, Ariel. I mean, you fought everybody, right? Mm-hmm. Best fighter you've ever been in the ring with. Who's the best guy you've ever fought?
The best. Oh, man. Well, I'll just go with the few you named. Malik Scott was actually probably the most technical. Let me see. The hardest hitter, I think actually Alexander Dimitrenko probably hit the hardest. That dude, big 6'8", the best all around, man. That's hard, man. I've been in with some good people.
It was top-notch heavyweights.
Yeah, I've been in with guys, at least 4 people that have been champion or at least fought for world championships. So I don't know. I've been in there with some good people, man.
You've been like you look at your resume, it's impressive. You've been in and you've got some good wins. You've been the distance with like great heavyweights. You had a really good career, and now you're pushing that onto the next generation of Fort Worth fighters.
Yes, sir.
You're training a bunch of guys at REMG. You're working with a lot of good fighters. Who are you working with now, and who should we keep an eye on that's in your stable?
Alexis just came off a good knockout. Nathan Vincent came off a good knockout. Who else? I'm trying to stay consistent with everybody. Those two are the last one. Jake Reynolds.
I was setting you up for that one. I want to get into that in a second.
So I don't want to jump the gun with Jake, but Jake Reynolds is back in the day. You remember Rockin' Robin Blake?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Jake reminded me so much of Rockin' Robin Blake, right? So we definitely have big plans with Jake. And he's a great crossover because he speaks fluent Spanish.
Jake does?
Yes.
I would have never guessed that. Okay.
Yeah. Every week, I've always thought he was a white kid. He said, "No, well, I'm mixed with Mexican and white." So he is fluent. So that's my secret crossover weapon.
You can sell tickets to two demographics now.
Yes, sir.
I want to stay on Jacob Reynolds. Because it's not the biggest fight, it's not the main event, but it's a really, really compelling fight. That's your guy. You didn't want to match him easy. You put him in with Jalen Moore, who I think is a pretty good fighter. He's from the Dallas side. Tell me a little bit about that fight and why you wanted to step Jake up into such a dangerous fight so early in his career.
In all honesty, I didn't think it was that much a dangerous fight.
Okay.
I am confident in me, what I'm teaching, but the confidence that Jake has is on level 12. So with the work that he put in, what I tell him to do, I don't see it being a hard fight, actually. And it's no offense to Jalen, but let's get it in, get it over with, and let's go.
Is there a little more urgency for him to win this fight, being a Fort Worth Dallas fight? Because Dallas always gets the love, and I love it when Fort Worth fighters beat Dallas fighters. To me, that's like there's nothing better. Because I get it all the time. Where are you from? People from out of state, where are you from? I'll be like, Fort Worth. And they're like, oh, like Dallas?
Yeah, no, Fort Worth.
Like Fort Worth.
I like the way you say it, too. Don't say Fort Worth, Fort Worth.
Yeah. So, testing, I've always been more so of the person, I'd rather test you early and build from there versus build up 10-0, 20-0, then you finally get a test and you lose. Now you set back even further. At least, get an early test. We can set a good foundation and build from there.
And that's like taking a page out of your book. Like you didn't take a bunch of easy fights. Even early in your career, you fought top-notch guys right away. You won some, you won most of them, you lost some, but you were always there and you test yourself against the best. Like I can say that's the blueprint. You're also, because a lot of trainers will take 10 camp drivers, get their guys to 10-0 and then take a baby step. You're willing to test your guys. And, as a boxing fan, I that's appreciated.
I get that a lot, but it's with me managing them, it's an educated test. I, as a fighter, had that mentality. I'm gonna fight anybody, anytime, anywhere. It didn't matter.
What happened to that? Why don't fighters have that anymore?
It's more of a business now. It's more money, I still appreciate that, but I also understand the business side of it. It's not MMA. We can lose 5-10 fights in MMA and still become the main event. With boxing, you lose one, they starting to question you. You lose two, now they're already looking at the next person. Yeah. So I just got to be a little bit more educated, more smarter with these guys.
So I want to get into the heavyweight fight, right? You're Fort Worth heavyweight. We got a really interesting heavyweight fight. Tell us about the heavyweight fight. Thurgood, Kendrick, your thoughts and how that came about. I know he's got he fought Greg Corbin, which is a good fighter. But tell us about Greg Hardy. Tell us about how that came about and how you got him on the card.
So the funny thing, man, I actually first spoke with Greg at one of his influencer bouts when he was doing the celebrity boxing. I think that's the one he beat Hasim Rockman.
Okay.
So I met him back then. Then I spoke to him again that night when he beat Corbin. And it just so happened, Tony Mack, who's coaching him, hey, man, do you have any room on your show? I'm just trying to keep him busy. Shoot, yeah, I got room. We gonna make room. So that's how that came about, man. So with Greg, he's from football to MMA to bare knuckle, just fighting. What he called himself, the Prince of War, right? So he's actually building up a good foundation right now. He's 3-0 to be a good contender in the heavyweight division. So I'm just happy to be a part of it.
So I want to get your take on him, right? Like he's 3-0, and he's got Greg Corbin is no pushover. That's a good win. He's got a win over Hassan Rahman Jr. What's his ceiling? I mean, he's in his mid-30s, so he's not a spring chicken, but he's not that old either, right?
I think he's 33, 34, somewhere like that.
He's not that old, right? So realistically, like, how far do you think he can go, and like what do you think like a realistic ceiling for him?
So in all honesty, we're just the host and promoter. Tony Mack works with him and has guided him along the way. As a former heavyweight, in all honesty, Greg can actually probably go do something. It wouldn't surprise me if they moved him right and he becomes a top 10 heavyweight. It really honestly wouldn't surprise me.
Does he still live in this area? Does he still live in Dallas?
In Dallas, I believe. Yeah, in Frisco, I think so.
And so he's fighting a guy I'm not familiar with. He's from New York. Mike Diorio. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Say it one more time. Somebody was calling.
Diorio.
Diorio.
Uh-huh.
How'd you find him, and what should we know about him? What kind of fighter is Mike?
What Thurgood, what'd he say? He's gonna always be there to put on a good show.
Yeah. So he was extremely happy about the opportunity. And it's crazy because he actually was raving on how he's a fan. Him and his daughter is actually a fan of Greg Hardy. So he took it as like he can have a memory that lasts forever. You know what I mean? So he was so excited. I mean, he couldn't stop thanking enough for the opportunity. And then he knew, he was like, but I give him a good test. I give him something. And so then that just made me more excited. Like that type of fighter, somebody who's like, yeah, I know that I could get in there with him and I could give him a good fight, a good tough fight. I just love it. I love that. And
that's what Tony Mack was actually looking for. I'm not looking for nobody to lay down. I'm looking for a good test. So hey, that's what we got.
It's going to be a fun event. I mean, Greg Hardy always puts on a show, but that's not your main event. So I want to move on to what is the headline, which is a really, really interesting fight. Two guys that don't have the shiniest records, but two guys who always bring it. And I'll let you introduce the main event and talk about it, because it's a really good fight, and they have a common opponent. And that's your nephew, right? That's Emmanuel Tennyson.
So in putting that together, what you mentioned, their records. In the most case in the professional world, they'll probably never fight for a title. I really take pride in that Texas title. It meant something when I fought. Yeah, it meant something when I fought for it. And those two guys, to me, deserve it. You get what I'm saying? Like you said, they're gonna come, they're gonna fight. Win, lose, or draw, they're gonna put up a good fight. That's the crowd can't do nothing but appreciate that. So that was my thought process with putting that fight together. Because Emmanuel beat Devon, but Devon beat one of my other fighters, Orlando. So it's like, okay, well, he didn't beat him. Hey, let's put him with Angel. Angel beat him. So that is, it's a good little round robin.
Yeah.
When you won the Texas heavyweight title, did you beat Hector Ferreira from Laredo? Was that?
Yes, sir.
I talked to him. His son's a fighter. His son's a decent fighter.
Yeah.
And he said that you were good. He said that
Hector, good people.
Yeah, he says you were one of the best fighters ever. Because he's been a lot of good fighters too. He said you were one of the best.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you something though. Before I fought that fight, I made contact with one guy, and he did me like this. Right. And after that fight, because I ended up stopping him, and he looked at me and he did me like this again. And somebody, I never seen this guy, anything like that, rushed us out the ring, rushed us to our hotel, and we left that night. what
This
that
was
was
in
about?
Laredo, or
That was in Laredo.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, never seen that guy anything, man. So that night we ended up leaving that room, and hey, we ain't been back since.
No need to go back. No. So I want to ask you. Tomorrow's a big day. Also, this is a big week in Fort Worth boxing, but tomorrow's a particularly big day for Fort Worth boxing.
Yes.
Eddie Vazquez has just kept on winning, right? Like
Yes.
he's gone in as a B-side, he keeps on winning. Tomorrow's the ultimate test. He fights Joe Cordina for the IBF super featherweight title. How's he gonna do?
In all honesty, I truly, man, I'm studied. It means that much to me for him to be able to go and win that belt. I don't care how it is. Split decision, majority, unanimous KO, it doesn't matter. I truly hope he can join the ranks of Fort Worth world champions. You know, I've gotten close. We've had a couple of close calls, but nobody has been there since Paulie Ayala. And I truly feel that Eddie, he's a throwback. He's a throwback fighter, and he truly has a good chance to go and pull off the big upset.
And he's a 7-1 underdog. So if you're looking to make money, it's a pretty good bet. 7-1. He's no 7-1 dog to anyone in the world. So
yeah.
I want to bring Thurgood back in. So you got this show on November 8th at El Corral West in Fort Worth. And you also got another show in Houston. And that's going to be on DAZN. Is that correct?
So not that one. So the November 18th card, that's one that won't be on DAZN. It'll be most likely streamed on YouTube, probably on either Thurgood Marshall Promotions page or Red Owl. So that one that's going to be on DAZN will be the December 1st, and that'll be the Box Fest series that Red Owl and the team is bringing to out here in Houston.
So you got a lot going on, don't you?
Yes, sir.
You got a ton going on. How you imagine, you making these fights and you're doing all the how do you have enough hours in a day to do like?
You know what? It feels like I don't have enough hours in a day. Actually, you can ask people. I'm out sending contracts at 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm responding to fighters, and I know they're like probably dead sleep, but it's the time that I make it around to them, because I'm doing so much with, helping with these cards, building the cards. On the November 18th, I'm the matchmaker actually for that one. So I've been matchmaking for that and a part of the December 1st matchmaking. So it's just, it's a lot. I'm not gonna lie, but this is a sport that I love. So it's a good busy. I'm smiling while I'm stressing.
I'm glad to hear. I love having the interest back, and Kendrick has done so much for Fort Worth boxing. It's good to have you involved too. I love having all this buzz and hype around Fort Worth boxing again. It's really good, and like Kendrick said, it's a great boxing scene. So you got this show, the November 18th show, and the December 1st show. Tell them where they can get tickets and how can they go see that.
Okay, so the November 18th, it'll be you can get tickets from the fighters if you guys here are local. If not, you could go online, the ThurgoodMarshallPromotions.com. You'll see the event and you could go ahead and purchase tickets there. For our DAZN event on the December 1st, you could go to redowl.com, redowlboxing.com. You could go in there and you also see the fight posted on there, and you can buy tickets. And it's actually located at the Red Owl Boxing Arena in Houston, Texas, out in the Willowbrook area. So it's one of the greatest venues that I've seen for this style of fighting. For like to say club promoters. Like this venue is one of a kind, and I think it will stick out once it gets on DAZN and people fall in love with it because I truly love it.
Kendrick, I want to ask you too.
Yes, sir.
We talked about the Jacob Reynolds fight. We talked about the main event. We talked about the Greg Hardy fight. Any other fighters on this card that really stand out that we should keep an eye on?
So the funny thing, so we have now I'm trying to who all we put on this card? Nicholas Pollard is one. A good hometown kid. We have William Clark. He's actually a local firefighter that's fighting Freddie Jordan. That's another entertaining fight. They fought in the amateurs, and I didn't learn that they fought in the amateurs until the other day. So I knew they sparred together, but even when they sparring, there's so much lip talking. So that's
They
what
know
I'm
each
like.
other.
I know, yes. So, but I didn't know they go back even deeper than that. So that's going to be a good fight. We got some good action going. You know what I'm saying? Then it's anime night too. So each one of my events, I try to
You
make a
always got a
theme.
theme. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I just hope people participate. You know what I'm
They
saying?
will. We had
That's my
Jersey
thing.
night last time. Everyone was in a jersey.
Yes. So man, it is the whole card is really exciting.
Yeah.
And that's my thing is midweek, get the weekend started on a Wednesday with some good local talent, good fights, and to give people a reason to come out and dress up.
It's always a good time, and it's always a good card. I mean,
Yes, thank
Kendrick
you.
puts on
Nice.
good fighters in great fights, and they're always entertaining. Thurgood, Kendrick, I appreciate your time. Any final
Appreciate it.
thoughts, and tell everyone where they can find you on social media.
Okay, real quick. So November 8th, they can go on Eventbrite, contact any fighter, or they can go on our IG page, REMG Talent. And click the link on there also, or just Kendrick Releford. But there's numerous ways to get tickets. I just hope people there.
Thurgood?
Yeah, so I'm on Thurgood. I'm on Facebook, Thurgood Marshall Promotions. Also the same on Instagram, Thurgood Marshall Promotions. So you guys follow me. You'll see all the fights. You'll see November 8th on there. You'll see November 18th, December 1st. Busy schedule, but it's gonna be a lot of good boxing from Fort Worth all the way to Houston. And it might be a tunnel or a battle between the two. Yeah, but it's gonna be a lot of good boxing coming.
I appreciate you guys' time. Texas to the world.
Appreciate
Thank you.
you.
God
Thank
bless,
you.
guys. I'll see you on Fight Night.
All right, thank you, Gary.
All right, thank
You
you.
guys have a good one.
All right, bye-bye.